with another video. Today we're going to do the part 2 in the relationships and looking at relationships from a spiritual perspective. So today, part 2, we're just going to talk about communication and patience. And so I don't know how many times I have had someone tell me that they literally have to beg their partner to talk to them or beg their partner to hear them and to even listen to them. Now, if you think about it and you have to beg someone, you're saying, please talk to me, just please listen to me. If you look at the word please, the first 4 letters in the word please, P-L-E-A, plea. So when you're in that place in your relationship, when you literally have to plead with your partner to talk to you or to listen to you, that's when you know your relationship is in trouble. You're not sitting in love, you're sitting in ego at that point. And of course, there comes a point between two people in any kind of relationship when there are complications or conflicts and there's struggles. But all the pleading that you do with the other, and when they're not ready to hear you or to talk to you, all you're doing is you're going to chase your partner away. A partner can only be where he or she is at that moment, and you can only be where you are. So patience in a situation like this means being willing to wait until both of you have come to a place where you can hear one another. So there is a difference between ego desire and soul desire. Ego will trick you into thinking that you want lots of things. Then when you get those things, you realize that you didn't even really want them in the first place. You and your partner are both simply following your own journey. And love is carrying both of you down different pathways at the moment in that journey. So if you guys are going down different pathways, but you're still going down or you're wanting to go down your journey together hand in hand, then you've got to be able to have patience and wait for the other and wait until you're both ready to communicate. You also have to be able to open up and communicate. Even if you don't want to do it right now, you don't feel like you want to talk to anybody, or your feelings are dark, or you really don't want to share, it's important that you communicate your feelings with someone, because keeping all that bottled up is not good for the soul. It's not good for your energy. So communication and patience are 2 very important keys in a relationship when you are trying to deal with your relationship on a spiritual aspect. So people have asked me this question many times, but what happens when a relationship has ended or has changed for one partner but not the other partner? Well, first, when that happens, the first feeling you feel will be fear. And you may think that you are afraid of hurting your partner, but the reality and the actuality of the fear that you're feeling comes from the fear or the hurt that you know you're going to experience in dealing with your partner's hurt. So yes, you don't want to tell your partner, you're afraid to tell your partner because you don't want to hurt them. But really the fear comes from what you are going to have to deal with after you hurt your partner. So you hurt your partner and you feel bad that you hurt them, you feel guilty, you're upset, and then you have to deal with your partner's hurt, and then you have to deal with all your guilt for hurting your partner, and you know that's coming, so that's where the fear comes from. So however, why does there need to be hurt and pain and so much sorrow where there has once been love? Now, I know I've said this before, but the love that you had may shift into another form, but it doesn't die. Everything is energy. Energy cannot die, but it can shift into different forms. The love energy is also the energy of relationships, and those relationships manifest in particular form. So when you know that love is doing the creating, then what is the fear? Well, the fear comes from ego, because ego knows that it can't control the relationship anymore. You've put a label on your relationship and said, this is what we are to one another. And ego just loves labels. That's ego's realm, is labels. That's where the ego can control. So when the relationship starts to shift out of place, then ego doesn't know what to do, and then there comes your fear. And there also comes guilt. Now, you think you did something wrong. You think you didn't love enough, or you think you didn't care enough. You didn't try enough. You didn't do something enough. But what is the guilt for? When you're living in your heart and you're letting love be love, manifesting however love does, then no one is at fault. No one changed or fell out of love. And by the way, you can't fall out of love anyways. I mean, love is not a verb. Love is not a noun. It's an energy that is. And we are all made up of energy. Love manifests in many different ways. When you're sitting in your heart and being honest and being true to who you are and in the blessedness of the spirit, then there is no fear. There should be no guilt. There's just love. Relationships are all about learning lessons, providing mirrors, helping you know who you really are. It gets even more difficult when one partner thinks he or she has more awareness than the other partner. You cannot judge what your partner's experience is, because although ego pain might be unbearable for months, for moments, or for days, or even weeks or months, you don't know what is clearing out and what is being released. What is being worked through on very deep and very karmatic levels. You don't know. So you can't judge another person on their awareness, and you can't assume that you have more awareness than someone else. It is when you stay stuck in that label saying, I am this and you are that, and together we are this. Now that is where ego is, and that is where ego can control. And that's where ego is running your relationship. So at that point, relationship becomes an opportunity for both partners to step into a higher level when you can surrender, allowing the love, the configuration to shift, to manifest in different ways. Now, who's to say the relationship is ending? Why does it have to be ending just because it's shifting into a different format? A relationship is an energy. It's an entity all on its own. It has its own agenda, and it is an agenda that is blessed with grace and the grace of love. surrender to it and let it guide you. And that is probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard, is to stop trying to control everything. Stop living in fear. Stop being afraid of what others are going to think of what you feel and how others are going to deal with the way you feel. You can't help the way you feel. If the energy shifts, you can't help that. That is not anybody's fault. You should have no guilt because of that. So in love and in relationships, just try to remember to have as open communication as possible, to have patience if your partner is not ready to communicate. Try to have patience and really just be true to yourself and just surrender to love and let it guide you. So that's all for part 2. I do have one more part. Part 3 is going to be sexual intimacy and spiritual connection. And that will be the final part of the relationships from a spiritual perspective. And then after that, we're going to go back to our chakras. We're going to finish up with our third eye and our crown chakra. And then after we finish our chakras, we're going to be able to start doing our communication with spirit, so you guys can learn how to see and speak with spirits and your guides and angels. So we will continue on that next week, and I want to thank you guys for subscribing and liking my videos. It really helps. And as always, this is Psychic Shanda saying, no matter how much your life feels like it's falling apart, it may very well just be falling right into place. So thanks, guys. See you next time.